Summary of My Cousin Rachel by Daphne Du Maurier. The story is told from the point of view of Philip Ashley, who is 25 years old and narrates the book. She feels guilty for the death of his cousin Rachel Ashley, and this guilt compels him to think back on the events of last year. Philip was raised by his loving older cousin Ambrose on a big estate in Cornwall. He was an orphan, so Ambrose took care of him. Ambrose started spending the winters abroad to treat his gout after Philip graduated from college. Ambrose goes to Florence, Italy, one winter when Philip is 24 years old. Philip soon gets a letter from Ambrose telling him that he has met and married Rachel, the former Contessa Escalating, who is a member of the Ashley family. Ambrose seems very interested in Rachel at first, but after a few months, the tone of his letters changes. He starts getting terrible headaches and calls Rachel my torment. Philip talks to his uncle and guardian, Nick Kendall, about how worried he is. Nick Kendall suggests that Philip go to Italy right away. Philip finds out in Florence that Ambrose just died, supposedly from a brain tumor, and that Rachel is nowhere to be found. Philip goes back to Cornwall to get revenge on Rachel, who he thinks had something to do with Ambrose's death. A few weeks later, Philip finds out that Rachel has just gotten to Plymouth, England. He asks his cousin Rachel to stay with him so he can ask her about Ambrose's last days. Rachel is treated well by the workers at the Ashley estate, especially the butler, Seacombe. Unlike them, Rachel is not taken care of in Ambrose's will, which gives the Ashley estate to Philip on his 25th birthday. Over the next few months, Philip and Rachel become close because they both love Ambrose. Even though Philip set out to hate Rachel, he starts to like having her around the house. He even asks Nick Kendall, who is his formal guardian until his 18th birthday, to give Rachel a monthly allowance since Ambrose's will doesn't give her any other money. When Rachel finds out about this payment, she is upset at first because she thinks Philip is being rude to her. But she comes around to the idea in the end. She even kisses Philip, which is his first kiss, and stuns him. As the weeks go by, Philip starts to like Rachel more and more. One day, while going through Ambrose's old books, Philip finds a letter that Ambrose started but never finished. In it, Ambrose says that Rachel spends too much money and has kleptomania, which is an uncontrolled urge to steal. Philip is upset by the letter, but in the end, he forgets about it. By December, Philip loves Rachel with all his heart. He plans to have a Christmas party at the estate and takes a pearl collar, which is a family treasure, out of the bank to give to Rachel as a gift. Nick Kendall talks to Philip at the dinner. He is worried about Philip's choice to give the necklace to Rachel. Philip is not yet 25 years old, so he does not have the formal right to take the family jewels out of the bank. The necklace also has traditional and magical value. Ashley women only wear it on their wedding day. Kendall also tells Philip that Rachel's monthly allowance has been overdrawn, and he is worried that she might be sending money out of the country. Kendall and Philip get into a fight, but when Rachel shows up, she gives Kendall the necklace without a fuss. As the new year starts, Philip plans to make changes to the house, both to match what Rachel has already done to the yard and to make Nick Kendall mad with the high costs. One day in early spring, he is called to a renter's house. Philip had given the tenant one of Ambrose's old coats for Christmas. Inside the coat, the renter found a letter. In it, Ambrose says that Rachel has become more and more careless with money since she lost a pregnancy. Rinaldi, her friend and counselor, who Ambrose thinks might also be her lover, has also started asking her some troubling and nosy questions about her will. Ambrose has made a new will that gives the estate to Rachel, but he hasn't signed it yet because he is worried about how she will spend the money. At the end of the letter, Ambrose says that he thinks Rachel and Rinaldi are planning to kill him. Philip hides the letter in the woods because he is torn between his love for Ambrose and his new love for Rachel. He does, however, ask Rachel about the other will, and he finds out that she has a copy of it. Philip decides to give Rachel the estate on his 25th birthday, as long as she doesn't get married again. This way, she will have to stay with him instead of going back to Florence. Philip's birthday is coming up on April 1st. The paper that gives Rachel the estate has been written, and Philip has taken all of the family jewels out of the bank. On the night before his birthday, Philip goes to Rachel's room and gives her the expensive jewelry as a gift. He's almost ready to tell her he loves her, but he can't find the right words. Philip and Rachel have sex early in the morning of his birthday. Later, when Philip is drunk at his birthday dinner, he tells the Kendalls that he and Rachel are going to get married. Rachel is shocked, so she makes an excuse and changes the subject. Later that night, Philip and Rachel get into a fight. He says she promised to marry him when they had sex, but Rachel says she never said that. She says that Philip misunderstood what she did, because all she wanted to do was thank him for the jewels. Philip gets so angry that he chokes Rachel and tells her they have to get married. Rachel gets away without saying anything, and the next day she asks Mary Pascoe, the daughter of the priest, to stay in the house with her for safety. The next day, Philip talks about things with his childhood friend and godfather's daughter, Louise Kendall. She says that Rachel has always wanted Philip's money and that he saved her the trouble of stealing by giving her all of his property. Philip just can't accept this as true. After being out in the rain for a while that afternoon, Philip gets very sick. Rachel takes care of him for 5 weeks, but as soon as he is better, she plans to leave for Italy. Philip searches Rachel's desk for a letter he knows she got from Rinaldi and thinks might tell him something about Rachel's plans. He is desperate to keep Rachel in England. Instead, Philip finds an envelope with deadly laburnum seeds and learns that Rachel might be poisoning him with the tea, tisane, she makes him every night. The next morning, one of Philip's workers tells him that the new bridge they made over the underground garden is not yet strong enough to hold weight. Philip doesn't tell Rachel about the bridge when she says she's going to walk in the yard. Instead, he gets Louise Kendall to help him search Rachel's room for proof that she has been harming him. They don't find anything. Philip asks Louise to call for help because Rachel may have had an accident. Louise is shocked when she looks at him, and Philip runs outside. Rachel is lying on the rocks under the bridge that has fallen down. Philip thinks she recognizes him as he holds her. Rachel dies after calling Philip Ambrose.
About the author. Daphne Du Maurier was born in London. Her mom, Muriel Beaumont, was an actress, and her dad, Sir Gerald Du Maurier, was a famous actor and manager. Du Maurier's grandfather, George Du Maurier, was a well-known artist and author, and her paternal first cousins, the Llewellyn Davies boys, were the inspiration for the famous children's book Peter Pan. These family ties helped Du Maurier become a successful writer early on. Even though her books were very popular, Du Maurier didn't want to be in the spotlight. She spent most of her life in Cornwall, which is in the west of England. There, she rented, fixed up, and fell in love with the old estate of Menabily, which was the setting of her most famous book, Rebecca. In 1932, Du Maurier married Lieutenant General Frederick Browning. The couple had 3 children, whom they raised at Menabily. Du Maurier struggled with being gay and being a woman her whole life. Even though she stayed married to her husband until his death, she had an unrequited love for Ellen Doubleday, the wife of her American editor and the model for the character of Rachel Ashley, and probably had an affair with actor Gertrude Lawrence. As a child, Du Maurier made up a male alter ego called Eric Avon. As an adult, she thought she was a disembodied spirit with a female self and a male self that gave her artistic energy. Du Maurier wrote more than 10 novels, several collections of short stories, and many non-fiction books, including a biography about her father. She was made a Dame Commander of the British Empire in 1969, and she died at the age of 81 at her home in Cornwall.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.